Hello, everybody. Welcome to the dining room table. This is Mistakes Were Made. This is a channel that I created to document my family's progress with debt reduction and eventual elimination. Today, we are doing our budget recap for the second pay period of March, so the 16th through the 31st. Today is the 1st of April, so it's not a joke. I know it's April Fool's, but this is for real. And we have completed the budget. All actions for this pay period are complete and done. So all of the information is actual and none of it is speculative at this point. So let's get started. This has been an interesting month. It is the first magic month that we've had since we started this process, and it is one that we've had some definite deviations from the budget. So we will start with the income and get a little bit closer in on that. And so there is a small difference here. So now this is the magic month piece of things. We had 2 pay periods for my partner that feed into this particular pay cycle for the budget, and total's not completely different. It was $2,957.82. Now keep in mind, this is including the fact that his pay has been reduced for the for these 2 pay period or 2 paychecks because of the whole PTO issue. So we'll address that a little bit further down. My pay had a pretty different total because being the first payment that I get in the month, it is going to be the one that's going to show any bonus that I might get if I'm going to get one. And in this case, I did. 1977 ended up being $2,105.89. Now here for the miscellaneous income, this we had assumed because of his previous paycheck before these 2 that it would be a reduction of $83, approximately $83 for the fix that the job did for paying him too much for his PTO. The way it actually mathed out was he got slightly more, so we actually ended up only doing $165. Not a huge difference, but it was a difference nonetheless. For Etsy, we do not budget anything for that because we never know what we are going to actually earn. It was $19.32. And then for our rollover, it actually ended up being $200.81. So if we take our handy dandy calculator here and do the math, 2105.89 plus 165 plus 1932 plus 281. I'm going to do that one more time because I'm not sure if I did the first numbers correctly. 2957.82 plus 21, I did it again, 2105.89 plus 165 plus 19.32 plus 281. Okay. So we actually ended up with a total income for the month of $5,448.84. Okay. So next we get into our expenses. Much of this ended up being as normal, as budgeted and expected. So 151.44. Our gas bill ended up being 91.63 as we expected. Waste management. Actually, I think waste management was 74 74.20. Let me double check that because I didn't write it down. Okay, so yeah, I did confirm. So it's 74.20. Then 101. We did have a difference for our phone bill. Normally it's been up around the $99, like $98 and some cents. Well, we made some changes where we took the insurance off, the phone insurance or protection plan. And there was another credit on the actual invoice. I'm not sure if it was related to that change or if there was something else. I can't remember exactly what the credit was noted for, but suffice to say that the bill actually dropped to $81.17. Now, I'm not expecting that our bill is going to be this amount going forward. I figure we're going to be more in the $90 range, but should be less than this. So next month's second pay period of the month should have whatever our roundabout what our standard will be, and we can start budgeting based off of that. So let's go ahead and add these together. 875 plus 151.44 plus 91.63 plus the 74.20 plus 101 plus $81.17 gives us $1,374.44. Then we're going to subtract our total income from that, which gives us $4,074.40. Hopefully that's easily readable. Sometimes my handwriting can be really nice, and other times it's a dog pile. So savings, this is the pay period where we do a transfer of $25 to our emergency fund. We're going to skip doing the extra savings until we get through all the financial stuff. Same thing for the buffer. We're just going to do the 200, and we'll figure out what the cents are going to be after we've done all of our calculations. So that, for now, gives us a total of $225. So we can take our $4,074.40 and subtract 225. And that leaves us with $3,849.40. So then for our cash envelopes, there were some significant changes here as well. Most of this is the same, but definitely some adjustments. 5. So first one here, dining out, we typically don't fund it because we fund at the first pay period, and we use that money through the entirety of the month. Well, we didn't have enough in that allocation to cover all of our dining out. So we ended up with an overage of $26.72. All of these ended up being the same, but then we hit groceries, and groceries we also had an overage this pay period. It's interesting because we had an overage for groceries last pay period too. So March, I don't know if psychologically because we had that flush of extra money because it was a mix of tax refund receipt and the magic month, or it's just a fluke, but we definitely had more overages, budget overages this entire month than we've had in other scenarios. So $10 for this. The next one is the biggest overage, and that is in our household fund. Now, if you've seen some of our other videos, you know, last pay period and this pay period, so basically for all of March, we have allocated $50 each pay period to go towards household, which was being put specifically to funding a recliner. That the goal has been met for that recliner. So we will be dropping back down to the $25 per month, not per pay period, this new month. But on top of the $50, we actually had, how much did we have? I think 264, almost 264. $263.59 total overage. So that ended up being $313.59. Why on earth did we have so much? Well, first thing we kind of talked about a little bit during one of our other videos. Our dishwasher went on the fritz. My partner watched some YouTube videos to see what might be the issue. Seemed like the latch wasn't latching, or at least something wasn't recognizing that the latch was supposed to be latching. So we fixed the latch. Didn't solve the problem. The next option was maybe there's something with the control panel. So he ordered a new control panel, and that control panel was $132 or so dollars. So it was not cheap by any means. So that was the first big one. The second one was also fairly expensive, about the same amount, but not necessarily as required. I mean, you could argue that you don't have to have a dishwasher, and we were doing, you know, our dishes by hand and everything like that. But when I was watching, I was on Facebook, and there's a couple of Facebook pages that have to do with, you know, like preserving and gardening and food prep and different things like that I'm not actually subscribed to, or I don't follow, but they tend to pop up in my feed every now and then. Well, one of them was a gal who was making her own lunch meat. And I was like, that's intriguing. So I read the art, you know, I read the post and saw what she did. And basically she took, you know, meat that she had. It was, as from everything I could tell, it was raw meat. She kind of processed it, ground it up, so it became kind of like a paste. I don't know if it was quite that consistency, but, you know, it was ground up, and then she put it into a meat press. Well, she'd mixed it up with some herbs and spices, you know, whatever they wanted their meat to be flavored like. Then they put it into a meat press that she had coated the outside with some herbs and spices as well. Put the meat press together, which I guess condenses it, you know, makes it into, you know, kind of a thick block. I think she then refrigerated it overnight. I'm going by very, very bad recall of what the actual steps were. I think she left it in the press overnight, which the press is like, oh, you can't see because I've zoomed out or zoomed in. The press is like, I think like about this big. It's not very tall, and it's not super far around, you know, about a lunch meat size. So I think she put it in the refrigerator. That step could be wrong. Then there's a step where it goes into a canning, like you're doing a water bath canning thing. So just a big pot with a bunch of water, and you boil the heck out of it for a period of time. I want to say 45 minutes, but again, I could be remembering that 100% incorrectly. But it essentially cooks the meat, and because it's all pressed down, I assume that it just gets into kind of a consolidated block, and then it's at the point where you could slice it or use it however you're going to use it. Something about that just really, really appealed to me. And then when I told my partner about it, he was like, wow, that sounds awesome. So Long story short, too late. We purchased a meat slicer. That ended up being just under $95. Oh, I thought I got all the dirt from the garden out from under my fingernail. Oh well. That was $95 on Amazon. Then we bought the meat squisher upper, the meat press, and that was, I want to say, like $36. So all told, about another $132. Quite a big cost when we're thinking about how much do we have allocated for household. But in our minds, it's an interesting experiment. However, that alone is not enough for us to be spending the kind of money that we spent. But B, we figured a meat slicer is something that we've been wanting to get for a while, like about 2 or 3 years. So it's not as fly by night as it might sound by this discussion. Lots of applications for that. The idea that we could make our own lunch meat was very appealing as well, because one would hope that there would be built-in cost savings versus going and buying lunch meat either at the deli at the store or, in the lunch meat aisle. Plus, what's inside your meat product because you're the one that's putting it together. The way we're envisioning it is if we want to make a chicken meat block. I don't know what the official phrasing for what it would be is we would just buy a couple of chickens and debone them, break them down. You could potentially get ground chicken that's going to have a little bit of a convenience cost into it. You could buy the frozen chicken breasts that are boneless and stuff, so they're already broken down and frozen. Again, there's going to be a convenience cost in that compared to just buying a chicken and doing the breakdown yourself. Doing that and doing the urban it up and doing however you break it down to pulverize it until it's a malleable consistency. And I figure, and he agreed that there's got to be some kind of savings in that. So for us, it meant hitting some more of our goals on trying to be more sustainable, more into the preservation and understanding everything that's in our food, trying to save money by doing things ourselves, taking some of that convenience cost out of things. Plus, it seemed like an interesting thing to try. At the very least, if the whole meat press thing doesn't work, or we don't really like what we've created, then certainly that would be a loss, maybe not a good purchase. But the meat slicer, we can always purchase meats at a much reduced cost if you're looking at it from a per pound and just slice our own, even if it's not something that we've created ourselves. So that's kind of how we made that decision. It was a very thought through process rather than, hey, this looks like a really neat thing and let's just go and do it. No, we did sit down and kind of like, okay, if we purchase these things, are we going to do this? Are we going to actually give it a good try and make it happen? And we were like, yeah, we're going to do that. And then the next step was we're going to compare the costs. We're going to see how much does it cost us to do our own versus how much we could purchase it for at the store and see if there truly is any savings there. I think he's really excited because he's already made multiple dates that we're gonna do this, and okay, we're gonna make our meat stuff and do this. So he's not a terribly effusive person, so sometimes it can be hard to tell if he's having a good time, if we're out and about or if he's excited about something. But this, I could tell that he's very, very excited about this process. So that makes me even happier that we've decided to give it a go. Anyway, so I've rambled on quite a bit about that. Let's get back to the budget. So we had the $34 for the license and and stuff for there. 160 for the pets. Prime was 12. Taxes is 30, and this doesn't have anything. So for a total, 12 plus 5 plus 26.72 plus 100 plus 5, plus 5 plus 23 or 239.44 plus, let's try that plus again, 10 plus 313.59 plus 34 plus 160 plus 12 plus 30, which gives us a whopping $974.75. So well above what we were originally budgeting. So from there, we will subtract the 38.49.40, which gives us 28.74.65. And then we're going to come back over here to our debt stuff. We didn't have any changes here for 225. Nothing there in 250. Nothing for that. We're going to skip the extra debt payment, so this stays the same, 475. So we'll add that to our total here, which brings us to $2,399.65. Unfortunately, I did go over my allowance by $11.24. So instead of being $30, it was $41.24, which makes that $41.24. So we'll add that to our total, which brings us to $2,358.41. We have our $100 that is budgeted for the garden. This next month, April, is going to be, I'm anticipating, the last month that we will be budgeting the gardening season. We have, I believe, everything we need as far as major soil purchases, amendment purchases, seeds that we're purchasing, and stuff like that. We might need a couple to 3 more bags of soil for anything that we're going to actually put in pots and grow bags versus the raised beds that we're currently using, or our green stocks. So that would be about another $30. Then we do have at least 2 items that we know we want to purchase starts: strawberries and a certain kind of pepper. And we are only going to need 7 strawberries, just because when I refreshed the strawberry tower, there were runners that had established themselves, so I was able to use those to fill some of the empty pockets. And then there are some that had just become so large that we could break them up and use those to help fill some of the pockets too. So there's a little less cost there. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else live plant or, start plant wise that we needed to, or we were wanting to get, and I can't recall anything. So I'm thinking the $200 for April should be it, and then we can move on to one of these others that we'll start to budget for. But for now, $100. So that brings us down to $22.58.41. So as we can already see, there's definitely a difference here. So our end of the road, figuring out what will go to debt versus savings, is definitely going to be different. So we'll figure that out here. So if we take to 2258.41 and subtract 75%. That gives us $564. We're not going to worry about the cents. And then we're going to go back to our total again, 2258.41, and subtract that 564, which gives us 1694. We're ignoring the cents, but we are, at least for that part, but we're going to go ahead and add it over here. So that's what our rollover amount is going to be, $200.41. Our job loss savings, so we were hoping for 607, we're actually going to get 564, which that's not a terrible difference, especially considering how many items we had that were overages for the budget. Yes, we did have some increases in income that we hadn't expected, but it kind of all ended up balancing out. Sadly, it balanced out to the deficit too a bit, but still, 564 is nothing to sneeze at. So 1694, what does that mean? That means there is still excellent news for Bank of America. We are going to allocate, or we did allocate $1,175. So we'll minus our 0.41. So we have the 1694. So 1174, which left us with $520 to go. Oops. We're only doing 500, sorry. $500 to go to Citibank. And because, we have a little bit left over, $20 is going to Discover. And that was almost all off camera. So there we go. We can see. So we are still going to have the 1175 for Bank of America. So that's matching up. Where we're seeing the slight difference is now we only have $520 instead of the $649. So I guess I should put, $649. 500. Why did I put 520? Oh, goodness. So 500 going to Citi and 20 going to Discover instead of 625 to Citi and 24 to Discover. So still, that's not bad. And I can't complain about this at all, because if you watch some of the previous videos, you know that this dollar amount means we are now at $0 for Bank of America. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Citi, we are now at $6,625. Discover, we are at $9,944.43. The mom loan, again, we are at $0. And then the Reflect the Reflect card, we are at $13,120. So I am absolutely flabbergasted by this. What this means is, in the month of so this is all March, not just this pay period. These numbers start of March, end of March. So we reduced our debt by $8,295 for the B of A account. We have reduced the debt for Citi by $600. Not quite as impressive, but still a reduction nonetheless. We have reduced the Discover card by $258.19. We have reduced the mom loan by $1,499. And we reduced the Reflect loan by 13. Oh, no, not by 13. By $175. So if we add all of that together, all of the reduction, wow, is that right? That can't be right. 8295 plus 600 plus 258.19 plus 1,499 plus 175. Wow. Okay, so this month we've reduced our debt by $10,827.19. I'm actually kind of stunned by that. I mean, I'm not kind of stunned. I'm very stunned by that. We knew that we managed to get to the zero on the Bank of America, and we knew we were able to get to the zero on the loan for my mom. And you look at the numbers, and of course you see them, but don't necessarily really absorb the progress until you take the time to really write it out. This is ridiculous. This would never have been possible if we did not have that blessing of a tax refund. Yeah, because that alone was over $7,000 of this. So very, very cognizant that as amazing as this is, there were mitigating circumstances that allowed us to get here. Not going to tear down the progress that we made just because the way we got there was not necessarily a hard fought grind to get this much. But still, I can look at this and say, I understand that this is not going to be the normal for us on a monthly basis or anything like that. Obviously, previous months, we haven't gotten anywhere near this. But yeah, very, very excited to see this. Man, I'm excited because we have officially reduced one of our credit cards to zero. I'm excited because the mom loan is zero. I'm excited because we are starting to work the next loan debt in the process, and we're already starting to make an impact there. I'm excited because this debt has finally gotten down under $10,000. Watching it drop down, below 10,000 or close, and then shoot back up because the interest applied once the statement cycled it's been brutal, especially when we do see the progress we're making on these debts that have 0% promos on them. So the fact that we have broken 10,000 is actually very, very exciting to me as well. So yeah, that is that is where we are today. I am very proud of us. And hopefully we will be able to continue to see decent progress as we go forward. We obviously know that with, the pending job loss, that changes will need to be made for how we allocate certain things. We will not have the extra overages that we can allocate to, savings or debt at that point, because we won't have my standard income. The way we're using the money that we have saved is based on the budget that we're putting in place, not based on how much income am I losing, but how much income of mine helps to pay for the budgeted dollar amounts. So there are no overages built into the budgeted dollar amounts as a general rule. So that'll be a change. And obviously, we'll have to make some kind of pivot or adjustment once I do find a new job. Regardless, I mean, because it's unlikely that I'm going to find a job that's going to pay exactly the same as what I was paid before. So there's going to be some inherent adjustments made at that point, whenever that may be. So, we've already gone about 35 minutes. So we're just going to very quickly take a brief look at the calendar. So here are all of my notations of, costs that we did. I did some terrible math and then I followed it up with some other bad math in other places. So that was kind of annoying. Oh no, that was last month that I had like multiple entries that were wrong. Just this one had wrong stuff and this one. So we are still doing this so that we can visualize all of the debits and credits coming into our checking account, reviewing to see, okay, are we truly happy with the fact that we spent money on ABC at this point? Is it something that we would do again? Yes or no, and things like that. All right. Whew. So this was a big month. This was absolutely a big month for us. Not only that, but this marks the 6-month kind of debt anniversary, I guess, budget anniversary. I don't know what you want to call it. But it has been 6 months since we started this channel, started the process of trying to get our financial situation settled, figuring out how we are going to handle the fact that I'm going to be losing my job, getting things prepared for that. So as I mentioned in another video, I do plan on doing a debt confession update for the 6-month time frame. And by the time you see this video, once it gets posted, there should be a community post where I will be essentially just, advising that I'm going to be doing that video and asking if there's anything in particular you would like me to touch on as part of that video. I plan on, looking at, this is what debt we had at the very beginning back in October. This is what debt we have now. Here are some of the decisions that we made along the way. Here are some of the things that we are trying to achieve in the short term, some of our long-term goals, stuff like that. But there may be things that you might have specific questions about that you would like me to address in that particular video. So I'm going to do a community post. It should be out there to give the opportunity if anybody does have questions. People may not, and that's totally fine as well. So, but I do want to give the opportunity just in case. Okay, so on that note, I want to thank you all so much for following along, for giving us the encouragement. We were definitely deer in the headlights when we started this, so the community has been fantastic. We've learned a lot. We've gotten to a point where we feel at least a little bit of a measure of control, and like we can figure out how to deal with any of the financial blows that might come in the future a little bit better, that we're a little bit more prepared for those things. I mean, there's something that could just come in and rock our world, but for the slightly smaller things, I think we are in a much better position to assess the situation better and figure out a way to respond to it that isn't going to hopefully be financially devastating or put us down a wrong path. So some of that can be attributed to the advice and suggestions that people have made, and of course to the videos that we've been watching on YouTube, just seeing how other people have dealt with things that have come up for, with their budget and in their lives and things like that. So just want to give you guys a big thank you. Please consider liking and subscribing if you want to follow along or just give some more encouragement. And of course, please, if you have any thoughts, suggestions, ideas, or just want to say hi, please drop those below in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.